Welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show. The show is designed to give you solutions to your day-to-day management and leadership problems. It's hosted by Matthew Haddock, a frontline manager and leader with over 25 years of experience. If you're ready, then let's get on with the show.
Hi, and welcome to the Management Podcast show. This weekly show is all about giving you practical advice and skills to really improve your abilities as a manager and a leader. It's built on my knowledge and experience with a little bit of theory thrown in to support. Now, make sure, if you haven't already, take the time to subscribe to the show so you'll never miss an episode, and share it with anyone you think might enjoy it. Now, without any more delay, let's get on with this week's show. Now, this week's show is about the idea of leadership resilience, both inside of work and also in life in general. It's a very hot topic at the moment. We've just come out of a pandemic, which has needed a form of resilience. And of course, the current economic situation, again, calls for us to be able to face up and push through as leaders in our businesses. Resilience is built on about being able to bend in the winds of life. Whatever happens, and not break under that pressure. Now, this cast is not about taking on the chin, stiff upper lip, moving forward without any regard for our own mental and physical well-being and the well-being of others around us. It's about, as a leader, how do we face the tough days and weeks which we all know we're going to hit without breaking. Now, there can be a generation thing here when it comes to this. We talk about resilience. Most people of a certain age, and I'm not saying what their age is because I'm not ageist, and I am getting a little bit long in the tooth myself now, look back on fond memories of what it was like in my day, how it used to be, going on about the good old days. Everyone always goes on about the good old days. There's never anyone goes, the bad old days, it was pretty bad. They always just remember the good old days. Anyway, they're always bleating on about millennials, this generation X and Y and this or T or P or whatever else the marketing people want to box you in at the minute. Who knows? I can in some way agree. If you're talking about a real tough time, if we were talking about the 1940s, for instance, we're talking about Second World War, when people were getting bombed in the house. They're sending people off to fight, not knowing they were going to come back. It's extreme war situations. That is when you're under a heck of a lot of pressure. And that's where resilience came in massively. The pandemic, of course, was tough. No one's underplaying that. But for a majority of us, the only thing we had to do was really stay in his house and not see people. And for some of us, that wasn't actually a bad thing. But really, most of us haven't had to face into the kind of testing environment which really does drive the resilience. But in work, we do have to face the fact that we will be tested. Our resilience will be tested as managers. So a good question from there should be, is resilience learnt or is it bred into you at an early age? Does it come from experience and exposure? And is it the ability to bounce back a teachable skill? Now, you will probably think that seeing as this is more of a teaching podcast, then I'm going to say yes. Well, I think it is. It's a kind of skill you can improve with a set of patterns and behaviours. And as we all know, behaviours can be learnt. It makes sense that you can have learnt resilience. Now, in my working life, I've had to face into some tough, challenging times, which has tested my own personal resilience. Jobs and bosses particularly who have taken me to the edge. I remember the Sunday night fears. That fear of actually having to wake up and go into work, a terrible place to be. And I remember physically making sure I was as far away from a certain senior leader when I would know he was on site. I'd spend more time downstairs, out of the way, on the production floor, because I didn't want to bump into him, because I knew that he would test my resilience to the max. Now, with more time and experience, I look back and think, what a daft thing to do. But I've always prided myself on having a resilience to get the job done. And I then start to question, has that in some way cost me? Did my dogged resilience, getting on with it, affect my home life? And I would have said yes. So the more I think about it and the more I've studied, the more I can see that there is some points that if you look at, you can actually improve your own leadership resilience. And I've bunched these into 10 different factors that I'm going to go through. They're not saying these are the only 10 that can help build resilience, but I think these are 10 that can really get you started, even if you're just thinking about how does grounded and how does resilience affect our working lives. Let's start with the first one, grounded optimism. Having that optimistic view of the world and having it grounded helps you with the resilience, because you know that if you've got a grounded optimistic view of the world, it makes it much easier to bounce back, to be resilient. If you're almost at rock bottom all the time in your work and you think everything is down and glum, then it's very hard when those little knocks come, because they're definitely going to send you off track. You need to face into your fears. It's also a good thing to have a moral compass. Be who you are. Live to your values. And if your values don't fit the company you're in, it's about time you looked at a different company. I know I've changed jobs purely down to the values of that business did not fit to my values. I wouldn't live with my own moral compass because I found it grinding me down. It affected my resilience. Now the fourth one, a little bit of an unusual one here, and I don't talk a lot about these things, but spiritualism and religion. Is there a bigger picture? Do you have a way of thinking that this is a bigger, more than you kind of universe? And that can be a personal, spiritual thing. It doesn't have to be a formal religion. But is there something higher that you can help anchor yourself and therefore give you resilience? And social support. People around you. Who are those people? If you're surrounded by drains, they will drain you. If you've got people who are resilient and radiate, they will help you through tough times. That's just a fact. And leading on for that, it's good to have a role model. Find someone who you can role model with, either within your business, outside, who you can really go to as a resilience. It's someone to talk to. It's great to have a mentor. So when you are tough, and it is finding it, going speaking with that role model can talk things through. A couple of ones that are about fitness, physical fitness. I think the people who are physically fit and active have a much more chance to basically recharge themselves when they've had tough days, because the exercise switches away from the usual physical, usual thinking and starts doing something physical. But it also means that you're physically fitter to be able to ride the tough times that come ahead. And then there's brain fitness. How do we challenge your brain day in, day out to make sure it can be resilient? It's a bit like the muscles. If you don't work your brain the same as you don't work your muscles, it won't strengthen. And resilience can be strengthened over time. Then there's emotional flexibility. Understand, as a human, you are going to have bad days, good days. You're going to be sad, you're going to be happy, you're going to be mad. Those emotional flexibilities are normal. There is no one in this planet who just goes through life on the same level. It's a roller coaster, a sine wave, if you like, of ups and downs. And if you can understand that, when you do have pushing stress times, you know that it will pass. Very famous line, this too shall pass. Meaning and purpose is the last one I want to talk about. Have you got some meaning and purpose, an orientation for your life? Something, again, bigger than yourself. Not just turning up and putting widgets in a box, but actually in the more longer term, purpose and meaning helps resilience. When things get hard, you can anchor yourself to say, actually, we're going to get there. This is a tough day, but tomorrow's going to be better. And we're going to move this business forward. So those are my top resilience tips. And I think that if you take them on board about having the idea of a grounded optimism, facing the fact that you will be happy, sad, having a strong moral compass, having people around you who support you, having that idea of brain and physical fitness, and having the meaning and purpose makes it much, much more easier to be able to move through and have a leadership resilience when times do come tough. And the big thing is, as I've said, times will come tough, but in my experience, most of the time, they will pass. There will be a way through it. Whatever is in the way will become the way, as Marcus Aurelius says. So again, how do I push through those times, move on and learn from them? And of course, always being able to stop and take stock of, is this really the most important thing in the world? Because sometimes it's not. You need to move away from it and just let it be. Well, thanks for listening. And as always, I'm keen to hear your thoughts on the show, both good and bad. So please send me your feedback, as it's a gift, to managermattpodcast. I answer all the emails myself and would love to engage on new topics or revisit some old ones. Well, that's it for Manager Matt this week. Thanks for listening and goodbye.
Thank you so much for listening to this Manager Matt podcast. We hope you found it interesting, helpful and actionable. One last thing, please leave a quick review on iTunes or with your podcast provider, as it helps to spread the word of Manager Matt. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the podcast, and if you did like anything in particular, send an email to managermattpodcast@gmail.com or visit managermatt.co.uk for more content. Feedback is a gift, so let's keep giving. See you next week.